They called this video wildly improper, but what this judge just did, it's probably the most honest thing I've seen from a bench in years.
To demonstrate, I'm going to start with this SIG P320 that's basically in its stock configuration. That is, this gun is basically in the same configuration it would come to you from the manufacturer.
California just upheld their magazine ban again. The Ninth Circuit ruled that magazines holding more than 10 rounds aren't protected by the Second Amendment because they're just accessories. Yeah, accessories like fuzzy dice or air fresheners. So Judge Lawrence VanDyke wasn't having it. He broke tradition, said, fuck it, and just made a video. Not a video statement, not a Zoom clip, a full 18-minute breakdown with guns in his chamber, because clearly his fellow judges and the attorneys arguing this case don't know shit about firearms. And the craziest part, the news outlet covering this didn't even understand the guns they were looking at themselves. They start the segment saying he had assault-style weapons in his chambers.
Tonight, a California judge making news after he released a video of himself showing off an assault-style weapon in his chambers.
Except he didn't. There are no AR-15s in there. There are no rifles, no scary black guns, just handguns. Literally just handguns. Not to mention, again, for the 19th billionth time, AR-15s are not assault-style weapons. Then it gets better, or worse, depending on how much tolerance you have for ignorance. The anchor in the clip refers to a red dot as a scope.
That's why you saw him messing with the scope there, or not the scope, the red dot on the top of the weapon there.
Now, he corrected himself, but that one slip shows the entire point of Judge VanDyke's video. They don't know what they're talking about. Not the lawyers, not the judges, not the journalists, and they're making laws and rulings that affect millions of gun owners who actually do. California says magazines that hold more than 10 rounds aren't protected under the Second Amendment. They call them accessories. Let that sink in. The part of the gun that feeds the bullets is just an accessory. It's like saying the steering wheel isn't essential to a car.
And so it comes with a 21 or 17 round magazine. It has a standard full-size grip. It has a factory trigger, which has a pull weight of about 7 pounds or so. Has front and rear iron sights that are used to aim the firearm. It has this little takedown lever, which is small, and you may have trouble seeing it, but we're going to talk about that some later. And that's what you use to remove the slide and disassemble the firearm.
Judge VanDyke spells it out using a 6-hour P320. He shows how the magazine isn't some aftermarket toy. It comes standard from the factory.
P320, that's basically in its stock configuration. That is, this gun is basically in the same configuration it would come to you from the manufacturer and be sold to you at a retailer.
And even then, California argues that because you can upgrade your gun with a smaller mag, that somehow makes the standard mag optional. But here's the real kicker. By their logic, almost every single part of a gun could be labeled an accessory and banned. He literally walks you through the takedown lever.
Let's take a look at a part that's maybe a little less intuitive, which is that takedown lever that I talked about earlier. This little piece here, it's necessary for the operation of the firearm. It's a tiny little piece that you need to have for the firearm. And so you would think, well, since it's necessary, then it must be an arm protected by the Second Amendment. But not under California's logic in this case. See, you can replace this factory takedown lever with a different factory takedown lever. This one's called the gas pedal. And when you do that, you replace it, you put the slide back on.
The grip.
Here's a bunch of grips that I've accumulated over the years. I'm just going to pull a couple out here. This is a nice small grip, a nice small light grip. This is a big heavy grip.
Even the sighting system.
What you see on here are iron sights. You have a front and a rear iron sight.
And shows how you could replace each one with a worse version and say, see, the good one's not necessary. Look, VanDyke didn't make this video to go viral. He did it because he was tired of arguing legal philosophy with people who don't even understand the basic mechanics of the very thing they're ruling on.
But it occurred to me that in this instance, showing is much more effective than telling.
And he's right. We don't live in an era where people are going to sit down and read a 40-page dissent. We barely read full tweets. The video may have been long, but it needed to be, because the people who are trying to redefine the Second Amendment have no clue how these tools even work. This isn't just about magazine size. This is about whether courts can redefine what counts as a gun by calling everything else an accessory. Under California's logic, they could ban red dots for being too accurate. They could even ban ergonomic grips for giving too much control. They could even ban semi-autos outright by saying revolvers are safer.
Because any of these single types of mechanisms are not essential to make this handgun work, and thus, or make a handgun work, and thus are not an arm under the Second Amendment, California could ban the whole semi-automatic mechanism altogether.
This is a backdoor gun ban piece by piece if I've ever seen one. And again, they don't even understand what they're banning. The attorney in the case couldn't grasp the difference between an automatic and a semi-automatic firearm.
No, the automatic mechanism is a term that semi-autos and full autos use an automatic mechanism.
Sure, Your Honor.
He thought automatic mechanism meant full auto only. That's the guy arguing to ban the thing he doesn't understand. This isn't just legal confusion, it's cultural warfare. California wants to make it harder for regular people to protect themselves, and they do it by framing everything through the lens of fear and worst case scenarios. But the law isn't supposed to be written based on what criminals might do. It's supposed to protect what law-abiding people have the right to do. As I always say, you don't disarm the gazelle, you declaw the lion. But in California, they're doing the opposite. They're disarming the law-abiding and hoping predators just behave. This is why more judges need to do what VanDyke did. Put it in plain terms. Use real examples. Show the reality, because this fight isn't about gun accessories. It's about redefining what is and isn't allowed based on feelings, not facts. Look, I get it. Judge VanDyke's video is long. It's 18 minutes of legal reasoning and firearm walkthroughs, but it's the kind of clarity we need, because while most people are watching cat videos on TikTok, this judge was breaking down the Second Amendment in a way the public could finally understand.
Is that the entire handgun here, including the grip, this takedown lever, the slide and barrel, the sighting system, and this magazine are all part of the arm within the meaning of the Second Amendment.
He's right. And if we keep letting states call essential components accessories, it won't be long before there's nothing left of the Second Amendment to protect. So, stay informed, stay armed, and stay ready to speak up, because the people making these decisions sure as hell don't know what they're talking about. One thing's for certain and two things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.